Section 10-1104. Did you miss the Child Victims Act or Adult Survivors Act deadline? It may not be too late to file your lawsuit in New York. By attorney Andrew M. Stengel. The Child Victims Act and Adult Survivors Act deadlines. Under New York's Child Victims Act, victims of childhood sexual abuse occurring at any time before 2019 were able to file a lawsuit beginning on August 14, 2019. The deadline to file under the Child Victims Act was August 13, 2021. Under New York's Adult Survivors Act, victims of adult sexual abuse occurring at any time before 2022 were able to file a lawsuit beginning on November 24, 2022. The deadline to file under the Adult Survivors Act was November 24, 2023. But a New York City law, the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law, may allow childhood and adult victims of sexual abuse to file lawsuits until March 1, 2025. New York City's Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law was enacted in 2000. Lawsuits filed under the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law, Section 10-1104, of the New York City Administrative Code involve a crime of violence motivated by gender against any person of any age. In 2022, the New York City Council opened a 2.5-year look-back period that closes on March 1, 2025. That means a survivor of gender-motivated violence in New York City from as far back as the year 2000 may file a lawsuit against the perpetrator for damages. Lawsuits filed under New York City's Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law involve an allegation of a crime of violence and a crime of violence motivated by gender. Courts have held that victims of rape, sexual assault, or unwanted sexual touching may file a lawsuit under the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law. Lawsuits filed under the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law can be pursued against the sexual abuser as well as his or her employer that enabled the sexual violence, such as a school, prison, religious institution, or foster care agency. Section 10-1104 of the New York City Administrative Code states, "Except as otherwise provided by law, any person claiming to be injured by a party who commits, directs, enables, participates in, or conspires in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender has a cause of action against such party in any court of competent jurisdiction for relief." Under the Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law, crime of violence means an act or series of acts that would constitute a misdemeanor or felony against the person as defined in state or federal law, or that would constitute a misdemeanor or felony against property as defined in state or federal law if the conduct presents a serious risk of physical injury to another, whether or not those acts have actually resulted in criminal charges, prosecution, or conviction. Under the New York City law, crime of violence motivated by gender means a crime of violence committed because of gender or on the basis of gender, and due, at least in part, to an animus based on the victim's gender. New York courts have ruled that sexual assault is a form of gender-motivated violence that is covered under the Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law. Therefore, victims of both assault and sexual assault motivated by gender may file claims under New York City's Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law. Unlike the Child Victims Act and Adult Survivors Act, victims of any age may file lawsuits under the Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law. Victims of crimes of violence motivated by gender suffer from a wide variety of injuries, which are often long-lasting, if not chronic, serious, and often devastating. These injuries can include emotional and psychological conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, depression, and anxiety. For victims who have sought treatment for their struggles, her or his treatment often requires many years to decades of therapy and perhaps medication, which can become very expensive. The Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law allows plaintiffs to seek damages or monetary compensation for all their injuries, including compensatory and punitive damages, injunctive and declaratory relief, attorney's fees and costs, and victims may be entitled to monetary compensation for their psychological pain, the cost of consequential treatment, and for any resulting loss of income. Hiring the right gender-motivated violence lawyer is crucial in achieving the best possible outcome for claims brought under the New York City Administrative Code Section 10-1104. The best New York gender-motivated violence protection law attorneys are experienced, aggressive, and knowledgeable. Complex personal injury attorney and former New York City prosecutor Andrew M. Stengel has the experience and knowledge of representing victims of sexual abuse and sexual assault in New York. Andrew M. Stengel is a zealous advocate for victims of gender-motivated violence and survivors who sue under New York City's Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Law. Visit the website of the law firm of Andrew M. Stengel for more information. STENGELLAW.com, or send an email to info@stengellaw.com. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.